Hi, so today I wanted to make a video where I share some of my favorite books written by and about trans and non-binary characters. These kind of span different genres and different lengths, but they're all books that I really enjoy and yeah, I would want to recommend because we all want and should and need to read more books featuring trans characters or like non-binary characters. Obviously if you are non-binary you're also like I'm non-binary and I identify as like trans mask, but I do kind of like not have most two separate categories, but these are like trans and or non-binary books. There's quite a lot of them, so I'm just gonna like try and get through them as quickly as possible. So the first two books that I want to talk about, if I can reach them, is two books that I feel like are already quite widely read on BookTube, but I want to talk about them anyway. They're Freshwater by Akwaeke, emezi, and Pet by Akwaeke, emezi. And Pet follows, this is like a YA book, and it follows a trans girl named Jam who lives in this like post-revolution, like sort of like utopian world where like monsters don't exist anymore, but then this creature called Pet arrives and informs Jam that there is a monster. I did really love this, and I was like, it's a beautiful book, and I love Jam as a character, and I would definitely recommend reading this. I do just like want to highlight there's like CSA in this, and it's quite like upsetting, so I would definitely like be aware of that before reading this. But this is a great book that I would definitely recommend reading. And then Freshwater was written by Akwaeke, emezi, is my favourite book of theirs that I read so far. I haven't read The Death of Vivic Ojik yet, but this follows this person named Ada who has all these like spirits like residing inside of them, and it's just like, it's so intense, it's so beautiful, like it's so amazingly written. And I also just like love the way it depicts like getting top surgery, and yeah, this is just an amazing book, and if you haven't entered the hype train already, you definitely should. And then the next two books that I want to talk about is The Order of the Pure Moon, or Protecting Water by Sensho, which features like a trans mask character, and The Four Profound Weaves by R.B. Lemberg, who features both a trans man and a trans woman. And I talked about this in a video I posted yesterday, so I'm not gonna talk too much about them here, but they're both amazing, great like fantasy novellas, and I would definitely recommend giving them a go. And then the next book, it's been a couple of years since I last read it, but I remember just like loving it, and that is Psychonymph Exile by Porpentine Heartscape. And this it's just this like gory kind of, it's like really gory, weird story. It's written very like fragmented. It's kind of like a mecha anti-capitalist, slimy, bodily gross experimental piece of like lovely fiction. It is like incredibly violent and very like visceral, so I would be aware of that going in, but it is amazing and I would definitely give it a go. And then the next book I want to talk about is one of my all-time favorite books, and that is The Black Ties of Heaven by Jai Yang. I think they go by the name of Neon Yang now, and this is set in like a trans-normative world, so like people aren't like assigned a gender at birth, and then at some point in their life they like choose to either like become a man or a woman. And I love all the books in the series, but this is like my favorite one. Spoiler, I guess. But it follows like a trans mask character, and like it's just really great. And I also love like how later on there are people who choose to like not be either, and this is just like, it has like amazing world building, like great characters. I love the main character in this. They're one of my all-time favorite characters in anything, and this is just like, if you like fantasy, if you like family, I'd even say like family abolition, and like psychic visions of the future and fighting and rebellion, you should definitely give this a go. It also has a stunning cover. These all do actually have very nice covers. And the next book that I want to recommend is Time is a Thing a Body Moves Through, an essay by T. Fleischman. This is kind of like, this essay is very much like rooted in their life. It's about like art and like trans identity and community and fluidity, and it's just like, yeah, a really nice like exploration of these things. I think that like, if you like writing about art and the way that like art can kind of shape community and like just like the way you approach like your in-person relationships and like mutual aid and like, yeah, forms of like mutual aid and just like identity and selfhood, you would very much like this. And then the next book that I want to recommend is the best book that I read this year, and that is An Unkindness of Ghosts by Sullivan. And this features like Aster, and she goes by she, her pronouns, but like her relationship to like her gender is very complicated. It also features like Theo, who like goes by, he uses he, him pronouns, but like he's not a man and he doesn't identify as a man. And this is just like an amazing, like heartbreaking, very intense like sci-fi novel about the violation and just like existing in like a black body, and it's just beautiful and great, and I would definitely recommend it. The way like it explores gender like resonated with me like so much as well. Like I cried so many times like thinking about this after I read it, so I would definitely give this book a go. And then the next book I want to recommend, I was very hesitant to like put on this list, but that is Develop Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall. And this is very much hails like the lesbian Bible and like a lesbian classic, and it very much is. But I do think that you can read Stephen, the main character's experience as a trans masc experience, and I do think like this book can exist as like a piece of lesbian history and a seminal piece of lesbian fiction, but then also gain insight into like trans masc history, or like be an early 20th century kind of exploration of transmasculinity. Like those things can like coexist, because like gender and sexuality is like historically like they're fluid, and I think that like, yeah, it can be both a lesbian classic, and you can read it as like an exploration. Like I think a lot of like transmasculine non-binary people and transmasculine non-binary lesbians can get a lot from like reading this as a transmasc narrative without that in any way erasing it as like a lesbian narrative. It's a really good episode of like the podcast Bad Gays, which I love, to talk about like Radcliffe Hall, because even though I do think this book is like worth reading, Radcliffe Hall is like exceptionally classist, and you can really tell in this book. And she's also racist. She's very much part of that like early like 1920s fascist tendencies within like the lesbian left bank, even though she kind of like wasn't that much a part of the lesbian left bank, because yeah, she was quite like classist and stuck up. But I do think that like, even though the many things are like concerning about this book, it is worth like reading, and I would very much like recommend listening to the Bad Gays podcast episode about it, and I will link it in the description. Also, I feel like I wear this jumper in like half videos I post, but it's because it's comfortable, and I've been hiking and I will go hiking again, and it keeps me warm, and it's my favorite jumper, and my grandma knitted it for me, so this is just what you have to see, an array of color. And then the next book that I want to recommend is Confessions of the Fox by Jordy Rosenberg, and this is this sort of like Marxist 1800 fairy tale about Jack Shepherd, like as a trans man, written by a trans man, and I think this book is great. Like, I feel like everyone I know in real life like has read and loved this book, but I don't like see anyone like talk about it on like the bookish, whatever that means, internet. This is just like such like a fun story, and it follows Jack Shepherd, who's like a thief and like a breaker artist, and then this like academic who's also a trans man who finds his like manuscripts, like his journals, like, and it's kind of like them. It's like his both your stories with all these like footnotes, and again it's just like a great fun Marxist fairy tale anti-capitalist adventure in one great book. And the last book that I want to talk about, which I talked quite a lot about on the channel already, which I also read this year. It's been a great reading year for me. It's been a shitty year every other sense, but it's been a good reading year. And that book is We Both Laughed in Pleasure. That's like the diaries of Sullivan. And they have been edited by Ellis and Ozma. And this is, as the title might suggest, selected diaries of Sullivan, who was one of the first people to kind of like be known as living openly like as a trans gay man. And it's just like he really wanted his journals to be published, and I think they're just like so great, and just like the privilege of like witnessing him coming to the realization that like not only can he be, or like he is, but like he can live his life as a man, and he can also live his life as a trans man. That's a thing, as like a gay trans man, and that is a thing that is possible. Like, it's still like beautiful to read about and witness. And he also like moved to San Francisco, like I say like in the 80s. It's just like such an amazing like insight into like the cruising scene and just like the scene in San Francisco in the 1980s in general. This is an amazing book, and you should definitely give it a go. So yeah, these are some recommendations for like books featuring trans and non-binary characters. This is about and written by like a real person. Like, they're obviously written by real people. Like, this is non-fiction. This is a mess. I'm not gonna edit that out, but I'm not gonna edit anything, so I don't know how to do it. But these are all amazing, and I wanted to make this video for ages because like I'm very actively like looking for and wanting to read books by and about like trans people, and so I was thinking it'd be a good thing to like give recommendations, and hopefully maybe some of you can recommend me things, and we can all just read and talk about this amazing book. Let's see if I'll be able to lift them all up. These amazing books. Let me know if you read any of these, if you're planning to, let me know how you're doing, and thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.